Summertime. Not just the best time to see movies, but a time to go swimming. Trouble is, sometimes I worry about my dad bod. I really shouldn't though. It's natural for men's bodies to change in their 30s. I'm just bummed I don't bounce back as quickly as I did in my 20s. Or at least I was before I started using today's sponsor, Marsmen. Seriously though, I've been working out quite a bit lately, but it's been a struggle to recover at the same speed I used to. It happens. Us fellas start to naturally have lower testosterone in our 30s. Thankfully, I started taking Marsmen and that all changed. Marsmen is a natural supplement designed to support healthy testosterone levels. This helps burn fat and build lean muscle. The stuff is great. Stimulant and synthetic hormone free and help me get my body back to running like it used to. Been lifting more and I'm not as tired after workout or dreading the next one like I have been for the last few months, which rules. And over 91% of users reported higher energy levels. So why not give it a try? Right now, Marsmen is offering a 90-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk. And for a limited time, our audience gets 50% off for life, plus free shipping and 3 free gifts at mengotomars.com. That's mengotomars.com for 50% off and 3 free gifts at checkout. And after you check out, they'll ask where you heard about them. Let them know CinemaSins sent you.
Want to Be Starting Something plays over a full minute of logos, proving this movie does not, in fact, want to be starting something. Bad start, Michael. Bad start. Michael Jackson demonstrates the emotional state of every CinemaSins writer assigned to a biopic. Also, Comcast. Chant credits. In case you confused it with Gary Sinise. Also, movie introduces Gary before Michael. How's the beeping, Michael? How's the beeping? Michael.
Mike, get back in line.
Movie King Richards itself so hard from the get-go, I felt like I was getting slapped in the face by Will Smith in front of a live audience. Thank goodness that's not something Will Smith would do to anyone in real life. This makeup occupies the fascinating middle ground between Joseph Domingo and Coleman Jackson. This Volkswagen product placement is directing interested customers to the year 1966.
Mikey, why are you playing with your food?
Movie has time to prove that those "give it to Mikey, he'll eat anything" commercials were always bull.
Come on, you know he never eats.
Shut up, LaToya.
Poor LaToya. I can't imagine what it must have been like to be the only girl in the Jackson family, because Joseph and Catherine Jackson only had the one daughter. No need to fact check.
Look, I made a face.
Discount Mr. Bill.
Let me tell you something.
Because it's the fastest who gets paid, and it's the fastest who gets laid.
Y'all some poor black kids from Gary, Indiana. Ain't nothing gonna be handed to you.
Joseph Jackson is saying an uncomfortable truth here. The problem is that acknowledging structural realities of race and poverty makes him a considerably more complicated antagonist than your typical stock abusive father. And the movie never fully develops him into a person whose worst behaviors were built around some very real observations.
No more Jackie, Tito, Jermaine, Marlon.
Or Janet, Randy, or Reby either, apparently. Throwing coins at performers on stage.
Set up your instruments, come on.
They have school in the morning. What do you mean?
The movie spends a lot of time showing the Jacksons practicing and almost no time showing what they were practicing. Did Joseph Jackson have an actual teaching philosophy? Or was his entire curriculum just, again?
You tired, and you think you did good. Is that right, Michael?
Seriously, the heavy makeup and prosthetics can be so distracting at times. I think I'm about to hear Eddie Murphy's impersonation of a Queen's barber whenever he opens his mouth.
F you, and f you. Who's next?
Go on. Big nose.
The biopic equivalent of planting a tree whose fruit is future plastic surgery.
Captain Hook met his fate in the jaws of his old enemy.
Actually, in just about every version of Peter Pan, Captain Hook survives this. So, also, the other Jackson kids are sleeping surprisingly well, with Michael inventing the audiobook and all. Michael appears to have confused emotional processing with evidence for the audience creation. Living room rehearsal. Joseph asking Michael to keep his eyes on him. More living room rehearsal. Excitement. Movie has given this Volkswagen bus more screen time than several family members. Reading. The audience knows Michael will eventually star in The Wiz, so the movie plants The Wizard of Oz in his childhood as a retroactive destiny marker. The movie spends a lot of time showing us how Michael Jackson assembled his identity as a performer. Every influence becomes a future dance move, vocal choice, or stage persona. By the end of the film, Michael Jackson feels meticulously constructed as an entertainer and strangely underdeveloped as a human being. Joseph's narrative function as an abuser continues, replacing his character with a living, breathing trauma explanation. Laughing together as a family gets reduced to a montage footnote, while every trauma receives a full congressional hearing. Also, generic shot of a family laughing around the dinner table during a montage is generic and montagey.
We are laughing.
Am I removing a sin for Never Can Say Goodbye? Yes. Am I adding a sin because we aren't even into 1969 yet and they didn't release this song until 1971? Also yes.
Motown.
Laughing at a noun.
I'll be in touch, Mr. Jackson.
Suzanne says she'll be in touch, but gives Joseph a card with her number on it and doesn't get his number. Is she going to call her own number? Also, the movie wants us to believe that Suzanne de Passé discovered the Jackson 5 and brought them to Motown Records, but in reality, a Canadian soul band helped them get a recorded audition at Motown that convinced Berry Gordy to sign them. So the sin, as always, is Canada. Also, the Jackson 5's brief and exciting search for industry connections has been completed at the speed required by the runtime. Nice year.
We'll start with Michael.
This subtle foreshadowing of Michael as the alpha and the omega of pop music. Having Lorenz Tate and Nia Long both in the same movie but not giving them one scene together, and the proper reunion that all of us Love Jones fans have been jonesing for.
Michael,
This is Clem Fandango. Can you hear me?
Say, Joseph, won't you worry about keeping the boys on schedule? We got this over here.
Joseph Jackson's Displacement becomes one of the movie's biggest recurring tracks. The deeper cuts appear to have been left off the album. But also, scene sets up all this tension between Joseph and Berry Gordy that is never brought up again. Gordy is only in a couple more scenes after this bit, and they're basically drive-bys. Pointless tension is pointless.
I've been doing this a long time. Never heard a voice quite like yours.
The Supremes, the Four Tops, Marvin Gaye, the Temptations, Gladys Knight, and Stevie Wonder have all entered the chat.
What's EQ?
Equalization.
And Antoine Fuqua directed The Equalizer, which can't possibly be unrelated. Movie treats this hug like a major transfer of emotional power, yet there are no signs that either Joseph or Berry experienced the quickening.
Hey, Michael, you can ask me anything, anytime you want.
And by most accounts, Berry Gordy was an influential figure in Michael's life. But judging by Lorenz Tate's screen time, Michael never asked him another question that the movie thought was relevant.
In this business, you can make up just about anything.
Bold statement coming from a movie based on a true story. Humanity briefly considered making televisions almost round.
Michael, how old are you?
Presenting child superstardom as a fascinating fact rather than a potentially alarming situation. In this press conference, Michael is asked how old he is, and even though he's 10, he says 8, like Berry Gordy instructed him to. So this movie has now spent 2 goddamn scenes on this kid lying about his age by 2 whole fucking years, and yet it gives us zero explanation as to why that's important, and it never comes up again. Musical biopic has a random insert of the Billboard chart showing the song's climb to the top cliche. This peacock reminding me I need to cancel Peacock before I get billed again. There is more Disney masturbation going on in this movie than in most movies that are actually produced by Walt Disney.
And make sure you put your rat in the cage this time.
Movie accidentally credits Marlon Jackson on Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness.
Meet Bill Bray. He's your new head of security.
Skipping the casual chain of why security and jumping straight to the narrative importance of this guy. Also, Bill Bray spends the rest of the movie appearing to be both head of security and all of security.
Guard him with your life.
I don't know why this line is trying to make me think Bill eventually took a bullet for Michael instead of living to be 80 years old.
Michael, you're missing the best part.
Pretending there's even a good part in Singing in the Rain. Also, Michael watches Singing in the Rain, and the movie immediately starts refining it into the fuel for some future performance, ignoring the possibility that he simply enjoyed a film one time.
And llamas have 3 stomachs so they can digest their food because all they eat is vegetables.
Support for my argument that I'm anatomically obligated to eat cheeseburgers somehow makes it into the script.
So you want me to bring some spitting agitated animal into my house?
Catherine acts like she didn't raise 9 children.
And you don't need another pet.
They're not my pets. They're my friends.
And as generic and tiresome as much of this movie can be, one striking thing is the performances. And while Jafar Jackson is rightly credited for bringing the pop singer to life as an adult, we shouldn't discount Giuliano Valdi's performance as a young Michael. He makes acting seem like it's ABC. Easy as 1, 2, 3. Sorry, I'll leave now.
But don't you want to meet real friends like kids your own age?
I'm not like the other kids. They don't treat me like a real person. All they want to do is stare at and take pictures of me.
The psychology of growing up famous enough that your peers stop treating you like a person may have deserved more than one conversation in a movie covering the entirety of his youth.
And you know what Jehovah says?
Scene that mentions Jehovah does not also contain a last crusade.
You let your light shine.
Understanding skip. Michael delivers an emotionally convincing performance of I'll Be There in a movie mostly uninterested in the question of where a child acquired that emotional vocabulary, serenading an audience member without their explicit consent. I know it's the 70s and I've heard the Steve Harvey bit, but goddamn, as popular as the Jackson 5 were at this point, they couldn't afford to have more than one mic on stage.
Pure escapism, Quincy.
Damn, Jafar Jackson nails the voice without making it weird. Well, any weirder than Michael Jackson's voice already was.
How are you going to tell your father about a solo album?
Just the tip of the iceberg on what we'll hear about Joseph's feelings on Michael's solo career, while the movie remains considerably less curious about his brother's opinions on the matter.
I need you to tell my father that the solo album is your idea.
I hope you enjoy the Michael decides something he wants to do but is scared to tell his dad, so he'll have someone else do it until finally he kind of does it himself in the end shtick, because it will happen around 87 more times.
I need the freedom to write the music and lyrics that pop into my head.
The movie treats this like a major creative creative breakthrough without ever fully explaining what was stopping Michael from writing songs in the first place. It's not like we all arrived at the theater with a working knowledge of 1970s Motown songwriting policies.
I own his ass from 9 to 5.
Painting the life of a rock star as a Monday through Friday 9 to 5 situation might be the most unbelievable part of this movie.
You get some sleep, Louis.
The movie keeps presenting potentially deeper character-revealing behaviors and then filing them away under Michael was quirky. Also, kissing a llama without his explicit consent.
You ready, Joker?
Honestly, one of the better portrayals of the character that DC has put out in recent years.
Rather let Louis drive.
To be fair, llamas are statistically better drivers than 98% of humans.
Keep these feet still.
The fact that this movie thinks Michael not being able to keep his feet still in a recording studio is an interesting enough subject that it had to be broached twice.
You're confident. You're strong. You're beautiful.
Using a discount Stuart Smalley guide to hyping yourself up in the recording studio.
I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me.
The song he is singing, Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, becomes a musical metaphor for consuming enough great Michael Jackson songs that you stop noticing how little new information you're learning about Michael Jackson. I hope Michael asked the air for consent for gyrating that forcefully, but I doubt he did. The days when Tower Records still existed in the US. God damn you, Spotify. Fan mail will consume a surprising square footage of this house and this movie's runtime. Michael's charitable work isn't really up for debate here. The movie's tendency to deploy it as supporting evidence absolutely is. Scarface money-counting meme energy. Oh man, they dragged poor Robbie Williams into this mess.
I want you to meet my new friend, Bubbles.
Scene does not contain the relief on Joseph and Catherine's face when the Bubbles Michael is referring to ends up being a chimpanzee and not a random stripper he brought home. Also, we are currently in the year of our Lord 1980, and while the exact year that Michael adopted Bubbles has never been agreed upon publicly, it was definitely closer to 1983 than 1980. The movie doesn't adopt Bubbles correctly.
I rescued him from this awful place, where they do testing on animals.
But I left all the other animals there because f*** them, am I right?
Chimps are sensitive, though, to certain sounds and people.
Movie thinks it has time for a quick lesson on the safety measures to take around chimpanzees, and it does not.
This is Neverland.
Movie repeatedly points us toward its connection to Peter Pan as though the reference itself constitutes an explanation.
Look, the Lost Boys.
Scene mentioning the Lost Boys does not contain a Kiefer William Frederick Dempsey George Rufus Sutherland.
Just Bennequin cream from a vitiligo.
Somehow, certain topics became mandatory stops on the Michael Jackson Storytime Express.
You see, my face isn't symmetrical.
It is.
You're the boss.
Bruce Springsteen has entered the chat, trying to touch the whole world without enthusiastic consent.
Maybe I should get a nose job.
Sisters.
Muscle says everybody does.
Taking your plastic surgery advice from a python. As reported in many medical journals, pythons give terrible medical advice. Also, using everybody does it as your reason for doing said thing everybody is doing.
The Jackson family is the brand. That's our Coca-Cola.
The rock and roller cola wars are never credited on this film.
Folks gonna go out there and start buying some Pepsi.
They will not.
Let's go.
Michael storms out of the family meeting to find Billy ready and waiting by his car. This may have really happened this way, but it's still hella convenient that he wasn't taking a poop. Wait, did Bill read the script? 1 minute of mopey motor moving.
And no matter what you do, he's only ever going to see it as a family success.
Viscount Din Diesel encourages you to move against the family. Oh no. The movie really spells this one out for us and underlines it multiple times. The fact that skinny ties were ever in fashion.
I mean, the whole point's going solo, right?
Alex Honnold, every time he walks past something that doesn't need to be climbed, somehow makes it into the script.
You want to be the biggest star in the world.
Can you help make that happen?
They could have just smash cut to Michael standing on the torch of the Statue of Liberty and gotten me out of here in under an hour.
How?
Because I believe there's no one like you.
John Branco was just asked how he could make Michael the biggest star in the world, and instead of answering specifically how he would do it, he just blew more smoke up Michael's ass, and so this works. Joseph did not get fired by fax machine in real life, and I don't mind the movie attempting to make this a more dramatic kind of thing than what was probably a boring meeting in real life, but fired by fax isn't exactly lighting the place on fire either. This Joker's got terrible marksmanship.
How do I sign this?
Signing something that the person is now forced to purchase in order to keep the autograph. Also, autographing items in a store before the customers have bought said items.
Guys, look! I got Twister.
I can't figure out if it's weirder that Michael thinks his grown brothers would want to play Twister, or that if he was that into board games, he didn't already own Twister. Or maybe I'm just weird. Let's just send all three. Movie has time for this. His dad is right there when he turns around because being caught off guard remains one of the cheapest ways to manufacture tension. Also, Michael seems surprisingly unprepared for the possibility of encountering the angry man he just fired in the house they both live in.
Fire your own father.
Thinking that's worse than exploiting your own son for your own financial gain. And maybe that's the point, but god damn it, I still hate fathers like Joseph, so I'm gonna send the f*** out of him.
You got a lot to learn about family.
Joe will continue trying to get this movie to cross over into the Fast franchise.
He's an actor, he's a movie director, and he writes songs.
I have a dog.
Kids.
It's a dachshund. He's getting fat.
Body shaming your pets. What an asshole.
If Haley's Comet came every year, just year after year, Would you look at it?
Yes, humans line up for Manhattanhenge every year, Michael. We are not complicated.
If I'm not here to receive these ideas, God might give them the prince.
But also, that's princessed. I can't imagine a world where taking your llama for a walk makes you the weird one. This finger-snapping song-forming sequence just beats it for all the sometime. As someone who believed before the movie that the man had thoughts and took notes, I find that not much is being revealed here.
I think music and dance is what we all have in common.
Michael gives a stump speech about why gang violence is bad, and the movie seems prepared to declare mission cure the world of gang violence accomplished. We're still beating it, y'all. The movie's idea of people working on this together is less meaningful rhetorical exchange and more watching Michael and professional dancers rehearse choreography. Considering Michael's infamous sponsorship of Pepsi Coke's product placement in this movie might be the biggest f*** you, and I don't hate it. I'm gonna send it, but I don't hate it.
CBS wants you to call the album Michael Jackson.
Too egocentric.
But this is not his first album. You would call the first album Michael or Michael Jackson, not a later album. So the sin is always his record executives. And Michael Jackson, since in 2010 he would release an album called Michael, like an asshole. If a horror movie is being shown on television within a movie, 9 times out of 10, it's Night of the Living Dead because it's in the public domain cliche.
That's rock and roll.
That's some Van Halen.
I mean, maybe some Van Halen 3 shit, but otherwise, it most definitely is not. I get you can't do a Michael Jackson movie covering the 80s without showing some of the Thriller video, but it's still cliched as hell, and not as thrilling as the movie would lead you to believe, and definitely getting sick. Also, it's a great music video. I've seen it 1,000 times. However, watching it again somehow still doesn't tell me much about the man making it.
If this kid did a duet with Reba, we'd own the goddamn country charts.
You're okay, Shrek.
We need to get his videos on MTV.
MTV tries as hard as it can to not play music cliche.
Believe me, John, I have tried.
With love, Walter. Please try harder.
And this record executive's heart grew 3 sizes that day. He was having a coronary. But once word spread of Michael's powerful and vengeful magic, a fear for their lives compelled MTV to embrace black artists while somehow continuing to grow more racist with each successive season of The Real World.
Better still, second row. You don't want to be in the front row for them. Those French artists, they're not so big on showering.
That's Frenchist. Also, how would being only 1 row back help you get away from the stench?
You can put them all in a plastic bag, cover the plastic bag in Crisco, and then shove them up your ass. Yeah, your butthole.
Crisco later issued guidance that this was outside the intended use and put you at higher risk for cholesterol-related heart disease, but stopped short of actively discouraging it. Also, the idea that the head of MTV would have to have the meaning of ass explained to him. Movie makes it seem like Michael performed Billie Jean at the Motown Special after he filmed the Thriller video, but the Motown Special was filmed in March of 1983 and aired in May of 1983. The Thriller video didn't even start filming until September of 1983.
He single-handedly revitalized the music business.
This movie sure is a lot of tell and no show. Maybe we could have at least seen a little more of how he revitalized the music business and less shopping for toys. This singular dance move blew the world's collective mind loads, so it would be criminal for a Michael Jackson biopic not to include it. However, this doesn't mean that the process by which a human being first conceived of moving like that must remain classified. Movie acts like this crowd is any different than a typical day in New York City. Random final appearance of Berry Gordy is random.
I love the way you promote your fighters. You're the king of marketing.
Don King was a hell of a marketing genius, but there were also countless marketing geniuses that actually worked in the music business that Joseph would have been able to contact just as easily. Just because the Don King connection really happened doesn't make it any less weird.
I may have something for you. Pepsi.
Don King survives this. People who laze around the house watching television who don't take off their ties first.
Why are you here?
Well, he's here because the movie remains convinced that Joseph Jackson was the only obstacle in Michael's life story and will continue to act accordingly.
Can a father visit his son?
Equating visiting your son to snooping around your son's bedroom when they aren't there.
I'm gonna need you to do this for me, for your family.
The movie remains frustratingly vague on whether Joseph needs the victory tour for his family, his finances, his legacy, his ego, or some combination thereof.
Yeah, you'll be with all the money in the world, surrounded by people who say yes to everything.
Joe is kind of right here, and the movie does want you to know that, but it never really wants you to feel that. Pepsi almost killed arguably the most popular person on the planet and didn't have to shut down. The whole thing is fucked up, but in a weirdly impressive way. I mean, 2 hours of that legal minefield might have been a more revealing narrative.
You'll have to stay on the Demerol for a while.
I don't want to take medication.
Through line to the circumstances of his ultimate death is hinted at here as if it is out of necessity, even though it is not in service of the story.
You see the number of people who have already gathered outside the hospital. If that isn't a testament to the star power of Michael Jackson, I don't know what is.
It's also the testament to how nosy and unaware of personal boundaries most people are, but for whatever reason, the news never reports that aspect. I'm not trying to downplay the extent to which prescription meds led to the eventual death of Michael Jackson, but this movie's obvious and somewhat tactless way of pointing us to where it started is obvious and tactless. This movie beats us over the head with the Peter Pan metaphor harder than Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare. I didn't actually see that movie, but just wanted to point out the absurdity of a slasher film called Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare.
What about the other boys?
And LaToya can just go f*** herself, I guess. Jafar Jackson's stage performance as Michael is very effective. I don't have an interesting way to say everything, jeez. The Dodgers.
This is our last and final tour.
I get the telling his dad to f*** off part of all this, but his brothers have done nothing. And I feel like, at the very least, Michael could have let them in on this plan. Making me kind of dislike the title character less than 10 minutes from the ending is a weird shift, but here we are. Movie ends on 4 minutes and 4 seconds of a bad performance. Also, this movie is 75% musical montages and performances, and while considering it's a movie about arguably the most famous musical artist ever, it makes sense we'd hear some songs, but there is so little story in between that it almost feels like a selection of home videos versus an intricately laid out story. And maybe you'd say, I just came to hear the songs. And then I would say, that's what Spotify is for, asshole. And then you would say, why so hostile? And then I would give my best Julia Stiles impression and say,
I'm not hostile. I'm annoyed.
And then you would say, oh God, 10 Things I Hate About You is a bigger insult to Shakespeare than She's the Man. And then I killed you. Juxtaposing the possible death of this woman with Michael Jackson lighting up the crowd was a choice. And that was it. Nothing else ever happened of any interest in Michael Jackson's life. That is the end of the story. Oh, it's not the end of the story. They've just decided to build 2 biopics for twice the price.
Why does it hurt so much?